the founding secretary for Environmental Protection for California, which I know makes him sound like a liberal, but he's not. You can ask him about that. And of course, finally, James put a lot of time in contributions towards national media, including pieces in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and on radio and TV as well. So, without further ado, let's welcome James Strock.
Thank you, Paul and Charles. It's an honor to be here tonight with this amazing group. Let me say, first of all, tonight is the eve of this sequester. It's now happening in Washington.
Let it happen.
And I've got to make one observation as one who was honored to work in the Reagan administration, among others. There used to be a job that prevented this from happening. It was called president. And it's been empty for a long time. How many Republicans do we have here tonight?
All of us. Yes.
How many Democrats do we have here tonight? I know there's a couple, they're taking very quiet. How many independents are here tonight? Right. Yes, I'll raise my hand too. Ronald Reagan is no longer a partisan or political figure in this country. When you look at polling data, you see not just Republicans now, but many independents, Democrats, and young people that never knew who Ronald Reagan really was. Believe he was one of our greatest presidents. And increasingly, his policies are not the key thing that people are going to focus on as the generations turn over. It's going to be how he connected with the American character and what his ideas and legacy was in terms of leadership. I'd like to talk about 4 quick issues about his leadership that I hope and think are relevant in 2013. First, Ronald Reagan, from school to Hollywood, the Screen Actors Guild, to government, to the Republican Party, was always a reformer. Now, people today look at him as the establishment. You see his picture up everywhere. Everybody pays obeisance to Mr. Reagan. He was a change agent of the highest order. He was never satisfied with the status quo. He always believed things could be better, and he believed that, well, he could make them better himself if he got some help. That's often a non-conservative approach. And of course, he didn't start as a Republican. He changed the Republican Party, and today with the party, from the time of redefinition, official here in Arizona, among others, it's probably worth studying how he did it. And I think one of the things he did that cannot be underestimated, Barry Goldwater knows this better than anybody, at the time when Mr. Goldwater and Mr. Reagan were key in the Republican Party, it was much more ideologically diverse, much more regionally diverse, and it had much less infrastructure than today. So that's just to say, as hard as it is now, it was even harder then. But it can be done. As part of his reform legacy, I want to point quickly to 2 issues that are very big in the news today that were also very big under Mr. Reagan, where he has lessons. They are immigration reform and tax reform. Now the policies are going to be different, just like the policies for Reagan were different from Eisenhower. 30 years had passed. But in both cases, Reagan was able to overcome tremendous interest group power and stagnation. And if you look at what's happened since in both those areas, total paralysis. It's worth thinking about very much how Reagan accomplished that, how he brought those people together, and it's past time to do it again. A follow-up point I'd like to make was about Reagan's view of the country. This seems so obvious that it's easy to overlook. Reagan unconditionally loved this country. Now, what does that mean? Everybody here knows, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, there's often a tendency now when elections are over for some of the more, I might say, self-centered, self-referential people to blame the public. They say 47% were not in play. They say that state was not in play. They say the cities were not in play. Ronald Reagan believed everybody was in play. He believed whether it was Mikhail Gorbachev or anybody in this country, that if he got enough time with them, he could bring them around to his point of view. And I would urge that kind of leadership, which really includes love, is one of the greatest parts of his legacy, and that's why he's still remembered today by so many people beyond the party affiliation. And that legacy, that kind of dedication and love remains to be picked up. Ronald Reagan's legacy can get life from that. And I want to thank you for including me, Charles, tonight to briefly help remind us of it, and I want to thank all of you for your tremendous service to the state.